Joining us now is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds and Stephen Miller, former senior advisor to President Trump, America First legal founder. All right, Congressman, the State of the Union addresses tend to be very overhyped and so forth. There's Sheila Jackson Lee, who's always standing on the edge of the seat, trying to get the first handshake. There's certain things that we look for. How on earth could anyone think at this point America is better off than America was, let's say, 2020 under Trump or 2019 under Trump?
I have no possible idea why anybody would think that. Prices are up all across the country. He spent $5 trillion we didn't need to. You already talked about the balloon in our airspace. We see what's happening in the Middle East. Energy prices have gone through the roof. Nothing is working well, except if you're a radical Democrat who likes these economy-choking policies. And we haven't even gotten to the border yet.
Yeah, their policy, Stephen, is decline. I mean, they really think Americans have lived too high on the hog for too long, polluted too much. You have families that are way too big, drive big cars, bunch of polluters, too patriotic, red, white, and blue. They don't like any of that. They hated that stuff under Reagan. Happy birthday, President Reagan. And they didn't like it much under Trump. Isn't that the case?
It is. And perhaps that's why they're so pathetically weak when it comes to China. Because at the end of the day, they think America ought to be displaced, that we ought to be replaced as the world leader, as the great superpower. And our quality of life here in America is declining. And so, of course, Americans are saying in this poll, Biden's done nothing for us. Here's a shocking statistic for you, Laura. If you combine the $6,000 in real wage declines from inflation with the $1,400 increase in borrowing costs from rising interest rates, the average family is $7,400 poor.
Congressman Donalds, the left really despises the American middle class. I mean, they want the super rich, poor who are dependent on the government. The middle class is dangerous, right? Because then they start saying, well, no, I love my independence. I love being able to start a business. Get out of my face. They don't like that. They didn't like it under Trump.
No, you're absolutely right, because if you're in a burgeoning middle class, you're growing, you're building a family, you're building a business, you're on your own. You don't need big government. You don't need somebody to create some program for you. You don't need to lean on some large institution, which frankly is living under some of the security of the radical Democrats, because they love too big to fail. That's where they actually get a lot of their power, a lot of their stroke. What we want is a free-flowing America, free capital, free people, so everybody can be harmonized, organize their society for themselves without government having to put their thumb on the scale to favor the very, very rich or to provide all these different needs for the very, very poor.
Now, gentlemen, I want to read part of what I thought was a devastating piece about Kamala Harris in the New York Times. In private conversations, dozens of Democrats in the White House, Capitol Hill, and around the nation said she had not risen to the challenge of proving herself as a future leader of the party, much less the country. Even Democrats, whom her own advisors referred reporters to for supportive quotes, confided privately that they had lost hope in her. Stephen, what's going on? These are brutal leaks against poor old Kamala. She's so talented.
I think they want to, number one, I think they want to ditch her for the next election if it's all possible. But at the very least, it's also an insurance policy for Joe Biden. The more that they're tearing her down, the more the Biden crew can keep him as the nominee for the next election, which the people who are close to him want. I think, though, honestly, the real interesting story is who is writing these speeches for her that they keep punking her by making her sound like she is 5 years old when she's speaking and prattling on endlessly about school buses and how yellow they are.
She doesn't know anything, though, right? I mean,
but,
what does she know?
You would think they would just like plug in.
What are her qualifications?
Like a normal sounding American speech just one time. She literally sounds when she's talking like she is in kindergarten. It is astonishing.
I like space. I like spaceships. The Washington Post ABC News poll also has Trump ahead of Biden in a hypothetical 2024 matchup. Now, Congressman, this runs counter to the media's assertion that Trump is done. The media keeps sticking a fork in Trump, but in this poll, at least, he's up.
Oh, he's not done. Look, Americans remember what the country was like in 2017, in 2018, in 2019. The one thing COVID has really done, it's clarified a lot of things, because you had a gap in time between what Joe Biden's reckless policies are and the time of Donald Trump. I think people are also past the whole mean tweet thing. I would rather have a commander-in-chief who just gets the job done. I don't have to agree with everything you say. Just do the job. And I think more Americans are clamoring for that. More and more as the time goes by, it looks bad for Joe Biden.
If Millie and Austin had told Trump, no, we're going to wait till that balloon's crossed the United States and we're going to shoot it down somewhere over southern North Carolina, what do you think Trump would have done?
he would have told them to shut up, get out of his office, and shoot that balloon out of the sky.
Himself.
And people would have paid for tickets to see that meeting.
I mean, you're just like, get out of my face. All right, gentlemen, thank you.